Welcome to another episode of Give It a Nudge. Today we are lucky enough to have Anurag. I met Anurag 2 weeks ago at the FinTech Finalist Awards, where he not only was on my table, but he also won an award. So welcome, Anurag, and pleasure to have you on the show so soon after I met you. Sometimes it takes years to get people on.
Thank you so much, and pleasure is all mine.
So why don't we start by you explaining yourself a little bit, but also your business and how long it's been going, and just a quick snapshot to sort of set the scene.
Sure. So I've been around for about 27 years now, of which I've spent about 17 in Australia.
You're only 27 years old?
Only 27 years old.
Amazing.
Right? So I started when I just soon after I was born. Not quite. So I started in India where I was born.
Yep.
Then I moved around the world, lived, and I've been a domicile of the UK, domicile of Singapore, and also domicile of Australia.
Goodness.
Have managed business across the globe, mostly in the large global firms, including brands like MasterCard, American Express, GE Capital, and a few more. Mm-hmm. So that was my gig till about 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, I delved into consulting, got into a bit of a self-actualization in terms of taking what I've learned to the startup community. And that became my mantra in life. That brought me to my current gig in Loyalty Now, which is a payments-linked loyalty and rewards technology company. So got an opportunity to not only be a major equity holder within the company, but also the privilege of running this beautiful company.
Yes.
So that's where we are.
And let's talk about that because, we met last week or week before, can't remember now. You've just won an award in the FinTech Awards, right? There weren't that many, so that's impressive in itself. Okay. And you run a loyalty business. Now, loyalty businesses have been around a long time.
Yes.
I think everyone has an idea of what they feel a loyalty business is. Your loyalty business has gone through, from my memory of what they said during the awards ceremony, unbelievable growth in such a short period of time. And the reason for that, I'm assuming, is that you're doing something different. So talk to us about the business. Explain why loyalty and how loyalty has maybe changed on what a lot of our visitors or viewers might consider they already know, and why you guys are different, and how you've done this growth, because it's wild.
Sure. In fact, the way we look at loyalty, or we started to look at loyalty ever since I stepped in. Let me give you the business view and the philosophical view.
Perfect.
Right? So the philosophical view is we view at loyalty not only as a noun, but also as a verb. Right? And I've been
I like that.
Yeah. So we do not, I've been a spoke in the wheel in terms of loyalty for a long time. Initially, when I started my career with an airline, British Airways, and then loyalty with various credit card companies and payment companies, etc. So I think what happens over time is everyone's doing loyalty.
Yep.
Right? It becomes
Everyone's
doing loyalty, right? So right from your coffee guy next door who punches your card to the airlines you fly, and everyone in between, right?
Yep.
But no one knows what is the real panacea to really drive loyalty as a verb. As a noun, everyone's doing it because they have a loyalty card, they have a program, they've got X, Y, Z, whatever that is. But then how do you really drive the loyalty? How do you drive that connect? How do you create an experience for someone who wants to be loyal to you as a brand? For example, when I go to a retail store, 9 out of 10 times I never carry a retail card with me.
No.
So what happens then is, sir, can you give me your mobile number? Or can you give me your email ID? Blah, blah, blah. There's so many layers of friction. And that is exactly...
It only takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Are you kidding?
Not only 10 minutes, but also 10 minutes to prove my loyalty.
And let's be honest, I'm a loyalty card holder for Virgin, for Qantas, for BA, for every other airline. There's no loyalty there. I'm literally agnostic. I'm working and flying everybody. There's zero loyalty.
We all become points junkies, don't we?
Yeah, but we're not loyal to any particular brand. If they've got an offer, we might be, but generally there's no loyalty there at all.
So what drives loyalty then? So our hypothesis was, we looked around, and for any startup to be successful, especially in Australia, and broadly Asia Pacific region, you've got to find a white space, which is not being covered by the traditional players, and then put that on steroids in terms of solutioning and execution, right? So what we found out was friction was the problem, and no one was addressing that white space to remove that friction. Friction of carrying multiple cards, friction of answering those 10 minutes of questions and answers, and so on and so forth. So we thought, and then having known loyalty for a bit, and definitely knew payments a thing or two about that over the last so many years, why should there be two different things? You get up in the morning, not excited enough to use your credit card or to use your loyalty program. You get up in the morning to first buy your morning cuppa. That's what drives me in the morning.
Yep.
And then, pay for my, business stuff and travels and everything else. Those are the things I get up in the morning for. Payment happens, and loyalty should also happen as we go.
Interesting.
So what we thought was, what if we link loyalty to the payment? Yeah, so that loyalty and payment become inseparable to each other. It's almost creating a perfect marriage if there's one. Right? So we tried to create that, and we said we'll embed loyalty into the payments. And we created this payment-linked offers or payment-linked loyalty. The different creative names a lot of people use. People call them as tap-and-go loyalty. People call it as embedded loyalty.
So what you're saying, right, is if I'm, for example, if I'm filling out an airline and I'm paying my credit card, I have to put my number in, right? Even if I'm doing it online. If I'm in a retail, as you said, I may have to have a card, or they'll have to look me up.
Yeah.
If I'm in the coffee shop, the most basic one, they're punching a hole in it or stamping it, right? There's an extra layer. What you're saying is that no matter who I'm connected with from a loyalty perspective, if I use my normal credit card, and I engage with a vendor that is in your system, that loyalty is just going to happen. I don't have to do
That's exactly
anything.
the point. So link, shop, rewards. So what we bring together is three important stakeholders. You as a member, a loyalty program as a program, and a merchant as a merchant. So you spending at your favorite airline loyalty, or being part of your favorite airline's loyalty program, just as an example, and buying a pair of Nike shoes. So if once you've registered your card once and for all,
it's done.
It's done. You then shop as normal, either online or offline, and the loyalty comes along.
And the same card can be on infinite number of loyalty programs.
That is correct.
So you don't create programs in any way. You're just enabling people to benefit, and you're enabling the vendor to give those points without any friction.
We are a B2B company.
Zero friction.
We are a B2B company. We are the Intel inside.
Cool. And that's it.
That's it.
So you grew so quickly because everyone went, finally! Is that right? Is that pretty much? Because I mean, tell me the growth stats. Tell me about the ones that they mentioned, because you may have talked to me. I know we spoke briefly at the end of the awards.
Numbers look reasonably impressive, and we're very proud of it. Even though we take that pride with a fair bit of humility, because it's only the beginning. Right? So we started to commercialize about 2 years ago, beginning of 2022.
So right in the end of COVID, really.
End of COVID, and that's when I sort of came in as a strategic board advisor to the company, and then eventually stepped in as the co-chair and the CEO. We launched 2 brand new companies at that point in time as well. So Loyalty Now Services, and Loyalty Now Payments.
We'll come back to those.
So but all we did was we just brought that ecosystem together in the most effective way. We ended up cracking 5 major industries. So a major airline is our client, a major telco is our client, a major insurance company is our client, a major industry union movement is a client, and a bunch of startup fintech companies also.
Wow. So basically, if this was some sort of mystical movie, you've just hit all 5, boom, straight away, done. And now it's a case of, I've got a use case pretty much most of the services out there. Now I just have to scale. Is that?
That is correct, and across multiple industries. And it might sound like a boom now. It was a hard slog.
Overnight success, right? Complete overnight success. Yeah, I'm sure. They're not easy to sell to, these people.
So we had to pass through a very solid due diligence. We had to create proofs of concepts in many cases to just prove that, yes, it'll work, and then convert that into commercially viable use case.
And is there any regulation around this? Because obviously, myself as a user, I've got no concept of whether it's working or not until maybe I go and check later, or I get a statement or something like that. So are the rules and regulations, are the audits that you have to do? Do you provide, I'm assuming you provide reports to your business partners who then would provide it to the consumer. Is that kind of how it works?
So from a regulatory and compliance point of view, there is no regulation which sort of governs payment linking.
Fantastic.
But at the same time, there are very stringent regulations which govern the payment industry, where I come from.
Of course.
Right? So we obviously take into cognizance our compliance to those. But most importantly, what we've proactively and very strategically done is to take care of what is most important to the end customer, the data security. Right? So data security has been very topical, more so over the last 18 months.
Very much so.
With all these data breaches of multiple big programs and everything else. So what we've done is we've put data security on steroids. Right? So we are PCI, which is Payment Card Industry, DSS, Data Security Standards Level 1 certified. And there's a difference between being certified and being compliant. Right? So we got to go through a lot of hoops to be certified. So we are PCI DSS level certified. And there are some other additional compliances we will be announcing in next 8 to 12 weeks.
And that's a continuous program, I assume.
It is.
Because it's constantly, that industry, cyber just changes every
It's a way of
hour.
life, and each year they tighten the news. Each year they make us jump through the hoops in terms of extra requirements we need to comply with. And luckily, so far we've come back. We come out with flying
That's
colours.
not wood, but we'll find something.
My head.
Leg of the chair. Leg of the chair.
My head.
No, the head doesn't work. I've tried it before. Okay, so it's a hell of a journey. You've come from, from what you explained to me just previously, big business. Like you've come from airlines, British Airways, places like this. How do you go from a company like that where you are, a part of, regardless of really what role you're in, you're part of a massive machine, right? And you're usually doing a relatively small part. To now running a business that's going through rapid growth. They're opposite ends of the scale. I've coached people making the move from corporate to startup, and it's quite hard for some people. Other people just do it naturally. I'm assuming it must be natural for you. Otherwise, you've done an outstanding job. But how did that come about, and how have you found that?
So there was an enabler. It was not just an automatic transition. and that enabler was in 2016. I got picked up by the country's largest and number one leadership program, which is University of Sydney's Global Executive MBA, which has produced a lot of other successful CEOs, including Matt Corman of CBA and many others. Right. So seeking inspiration from them, I put my hand up and was very fortunately selected. So that program took me around the globe in multiple innovation ecosystems.
Oh, wow.
So we started from Australia, then we went to Stanford, UCLA, then followed by Cambridge in the UK. We went to Tel Aviv. We went to India, Bangalore.
How amazing.
And it is one of its kind. And anyone who is aspiring from a personal and professional development point of view, I seriously recommend that.
How do you get into that? I mean, how many people are taken in that program?
So they end up picking up only 17 individuals every year. So it's highly selective. So you got to just go through the hard
So what do you
years.
think got you in?
I think it's a combination of things. It's a process you've got to go through, right from putting together your application which includes very comprehensive essays and why should you be the one, to group discussions, to interviews, through a 6 or 7 round of selection process. But once you go through that and you're selected, I think it's a dream come true. So when I came, and that actually not only gives you an exposure to the disruption, but also you get disrupted yourself.
Yeah, I would imagine.
In terms of your mindset, in terms of your perspective, and then it's very hard to go back to the run of the mill. Yeah. So when I came back, it was very clear in my mind that I want to go into either an entrepreneur kind of a role where there's a new division which was to be launched by the company I used to work for at that point in time, and they were considering me to be the chief of that division. So that was a possibility, or I get into the startup ecosystem. So latter happened, and I have no reason to complain.
No, well, what's the time commitment for a course like that? And were you working at the same time? Did you have to stop working?
I was. So it's a highly intensive program. It's a 2-year program compressed into 1.5 years.
Okay.
Which works on 2 weeks every 2 months of intensive, which you have to take time off.
So 2 out of 8. That's a lot.
And that's a lot. And then that includes the coaching sessions, but also real life projects you do.
So when you went to UCLA, for example, you were there for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. I mean, that's a big immersion. So if you're doing that every 8 weeks, that was
amazing. It was intensive. It was time consuming. Lot of surround sound support has to happen.
Yes.
So your family support, your wife and your child.
I was going to say, did they see you?
They did not see me for 1.5 years for more than 5% of my time, which was a compromise. But fast forward 7-8 years, I see it is paying its dividends in a very positive way.
Well, congratulations for getting in.
Thank you.
We'll talk off camera about what you wrote. Don't want anyone else to know. But what an amazing experience. So, so then you fall into the startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
How do you end up where you are?
So I was called in by Loyalty Now at that point in time, which was a singular company, just to talk about the technology they had developed, what's cooking. And
how did that happen? Like, was that through an accelerator? Was it through just someone you knew?
Some referral from someone, private networking.
Right.
Yeah. So I met up, and then they said, "Listen, we quite clearly are cooking something decent. We feel.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, it was very clear that in any startup, and this is basically a sage advice, that if you are an entrepreneur, you got to first realize you have to perform what is called as a Joe Harry's window in management language. What I think I am versus what the world thinks I am. Yeah, and it is very difficult. It's very, very confronting, but you've got to do that. So we ended up doing that, and we realized that the current investors had a lot of entrepreneurial skills, and therefore the investments they made, but they were lacking the industry skills, expertise, and the commercialization skills. And that's where I came to the table, initially as a strategic advisor, and then stepped into the role of the CEO.
Okay.
And from that point onwards, what was a very good piece of technology, we not only added the layers of innovation, but we put the commercialization on steroids.
Right. Cool. And I know that you are going into a raise now. Have you were you involved in the first raise when you came in as well?
No, I wasn't in the first, but I am actively involved in the current raise.
Which is Series B, right?
Series B, yes.
Yeah, which is a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah. And how are you finding that? I mean, I'm assuming it's something you would have covered in the MBA, but without the real life practical experience, coming first in for a Series B as your first one, it's a big call. So, one, how are you finding that? And two, how are you finding running a business that essentially has investment through venture, which is, I'm assuming, where your Series A came from? That's quite different again to being an employee. It's quite different to going through an MBA. Real life examples. How have you found that transition? Not just we've talked from the corporate to startup, I get that, but running a business that's also not necessarily profitable and is being driven by venture-backed investors.
It's a bit like driving a car where you don't have your own fuel pump. Right, so it's not driving in Middle East, right?
So you're not allowed to stop and fill up with petrol. Only other people can.
And if I may use my first industry of work as an example, airlines, which I'm very passionate about still after 2 decades, it was being in a plane where you're flying and you don't even know where the next mile of fuel is going to come from.
Yeah, that's probably a very accurate description, actually.
Yeah. And then obviously kudos to my fellow co-directors. We rocked and rolled together, and we still do, in terms of our co-investments into the business where possible and when possible, and also some interim investments which came in from the existing shareholders. So we ran a rights issue almost about 11 months back, which was pivotal to take us to the current level. And of the current Series B round, we have already raised 16% of the target amount.
Fantastic.
And the balance 84% to go.
Yes. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
It's an interesting market. Although I do feel that companies at the Series B are probably in a better place than they were last year. I mean, last year was just like...
Even though the macroeconomic environment is a little bit interesting this year. So
it's a bit better.
It's a bit better, but it's still not quite what it used to be in 2021.
I don't think it'll ever be that again. Yeah. That was pandemonia.
Yeah.
Okay. And so your business is a tech platform. You're doing enterprise-grade sales.
Yeah.
How many people have you got in this business? Have you got a lot offshore? Have you all onshore? How's it structured?
So it's a bit of both. So we're a company of 0 to 50 at this point in time. We've got teams across Australia. I would say 95% of my team is here. So which is Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth at this stage. And then we've got a few in regional Victoria also. And we've got a newly set up center of excellence in Indonesia, which is proprietary, fully owned by us. Which is basically to just have a balance between the talent which is available internationally versus any talent shortages here to take care of that. And we recently appointed, just about 6 to 7 months ago, our Chief Product and Innovations Officer based out of Singapore.
Okay, cool. And in terms of your client base, is it all Australian currently?
Currently, yes.
Okay, and what's the plans around that?
So
there's some big loyalty programs out there.
They are, and the good news is, as per the recent research done by a competent authority, 80% of the loyalty programs are looking to change how they work. So which could be tech and other aspects of the how. So which is a good opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. And they all have this friction point, pretty much, right?
And in terms of the market sizing, we expect that to be about $6 billion, 6.6 as of last check till 2026.
Yes.
Which is a big opportunity, which is a total TAM. And if we kind of hone down to the specific obtainable market, which will be probably at least a third of that. So there's a lot of room for everyone to play. But if you get your strategy right and with an execution bias, that's the way to go, in my opinion.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question now. This is your opportunity, right? So You're at the beginning of a capital raise. Yeah. This episode would inevitably come out during that capital raise.
Yeah.
Tell me, if I was an investor, if I was a potential VC, why would I want to invest in you? Give it to me in your own words.
So it's a B2B SaaS. The B2B SaaS model has always been a blue-eyed.
And it's enterprise, right? So it's sticky.
Exactly. Sticky, enterprise, B2B, scalable SaaS.
Yep.
That has always attracted investments in the past.
Always.
Now, what we've done is we've added the layer of further innovation onto it. It's not just pure B2B SaaS as a scalable model, but its ability to scale infinitely through the use of cloud-based technology and the fact that it's super secure. Yeah. So that's, I guess, the punchline.
The cyber focus.
And the fact that some of the biggies have chosen us against a very thorough due diligence, so they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you get to Series B and you've got some big names on the cap table, know that there's a certain level of DD that's already been done, right?
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier that there's two businesses, right? So there's Loyalty Plus and Loyalty Go, was it?
So it's Loyalty
Payments, sorry.
Yeah, so Loyalty Rewards International is the group company.
Yep.
And the three companies within them, Loyalty Now, which is purely tech, which is delivered as a SaaS.
Right.
Loyalty Now Services, which is merchant services, which is the entire brand and merchant ecosystem.
Okay, yeah.
And the Loyalty Now Payments, which is all the redemption ecosystem, like gift cards and virtual cards and everything else.
Okay. And so is there any plans to expand on that? Because there's I'm not a technologist, but I've heard enough startup stories. I can see some routes you could go, which I'm sure you can as well. This money you're raising right now for Series B, where is that going to flow to predominantly?
So this is high level. So we expect a vast majority of that, which is 75 to 80% towards international expansion.
Yep.
And 20 to 25% to penetrate other industries within Australia.
Okay, yeah.
Where we have not gone so far.
Yeah. I think you should spend it all on hiring, by the way. I tell everybody.
Exactly. Hiring comes along.
Hiring always comes along.
Especially with international expansion, the very fact that we budgeted higher amount for that, because as we open new markets, then it comes in tandem with hiring new people there.
Yes, of course it does, yeah. So tell me, what do you feel so far? You've told this amazing journey, right? You've had this really interesting corporate career.
Yeah.
You've gone off and done this insane MBA course, which I'm going to look up after this because I've not heard of it before. You've gone into this now, your first startup. It's a roaring success. We've finalists in awards. You're on your Series B raise. What's been the hardest? Because that's in itself, as much as I made that sound so simple, that's an incredible journey of that, right? That's bumps and galore. What's for you been the most difficult part?
The most complex thing in life is to make simple look simple. Right? So when we talk about simplicity of execution, when we talk about simplicity of the experience or frictionlessness for the member, in order to make it look seamless, there's a lot of hard work that goes behind.
Yes.
So really understanding, right from taking it from technology to a solution, because my guidance to my team always is, technology is good, but you know what? Around the globe, there are billions of people who can make technology.
There are.
Yeah. So it is how you create a unique solution and a commercially viable solution which differentiates you. Yeah?
Yes.
So small example is, if the guy next door you buy coffee from, and apparently, let's say if we change their ecosystem to a card link payment system, and they go from yellow bank to a blue bank or blue bank to the red bank in terms of the machine, right? As soon as they change that, the source of truth changes, and therefore the customer experience changes. So we have now innovated to connect with that guy remotely so that we can find out when their machine changes, just as a simple example.
Yeah.
To scan the market on an ongoing basis, to make sure that the experience for the end user is not only frictionless, but also seamless across these changes or hurdles which might happen from time to time.
Interesting. And what do you think has been your biggest rewarding moment so far? Sounds like there's quite a few to come. But so far, was it meeting me at the FinTech Awards? Was it winning the FinTech Awards?
That was definitely the number one, without any doubt.
What's been the bit where you just thought, yes, when you really, it might be something really small that no one else even noticed, but for you, it was like a big win.
I think for me, it has not been only one; it has been several.
I would hope so.
Right, and each time we end up creating a solution where the customer comes back with a very positive voice of the customer. That to me is the ultimate moment, right? So when we created the solution for the large airline, And we dovetailed with another large payment network to make sure that we collaborate and win together. That was a moment. And equally, when we created a new solution for a large telco, right? That was the moment. Now, with a large insurance company to create a solution which is not only a technology or a loyalty solution, but they're actually enabling Australians to live better.
Yeah.
It is creating the purpose behind that is very, very important. So our technology, just so you know, today is not only able to create payment linking, but also support many such noble purposes. For example, if you want to not receive 100% cash back from your purchase, and you want to split that 50 for you and 50% for the charity of your choice, we can do that.
Cool.
Right? So we can create that good karma in the rewards, in the loyalty
I think people will like that. And tell me this, have you had any of your customers yet, and maybe it's too early, want to group together? So for example, a large airline insurance company wants to come together and create, if you get your airline ticket through us, you'll get loyalty for there. At the same time, you'll be getting your travel insurance. Like, have you bundling? That's the way I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Potentially, absolutely. So
it could be easy to do for you, right?
For us, we can be acting as a facilitator, but ultimately the decision making lies with those brands.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, one step at a time.
Yeah.
So we get our piece right and robust, which can be challenging at the back end. It's even though simple from the front end, and at the same time, if you're able to create an ecosystem for our clients to collaborate and win together, why not?
I got another question for you.
Yeah.
As a consumer, this is a dream for me to be able to just tap and go. No, I have never seen a loyalty scheme where this happens, or I've never had it marketed to me. Is there a way I can find out who your customers are, or is it really up to them to be marketing that to me? And maybe I switched off from loyalty because for the same reasons we talked about at the beginning. How there'll be lots of people watching this who'll think, oh, I'd like to have an airline that can do that with. How can they find out who they are? Is there a way, or is it?
As of now, because of our B2B model construct, we do not get into B2C marketing.
No, because and there's privacy.
However, we do provide them with the guidance. Yeah, so if you think of it in two dimensions, hunting and farming.
Yeah.
Right? So hunting is all about getting you as a customer. Farming is keeping you as a customer. So we not only provide guidance based upon what I can personally provide, based upon years of experience I have, but equally work with some professional consultants who are collaborators with us, and we take them to the table to our clients, and who provide them with a lot of farming guidance. Yeah, and that includes reaching out to you through digital marketing and other sources of marketing. Equally, once they reach out to you, you have an opportunity to just go to their portals, website, etc., to register yourself as a customer.
So it's really their call for now.
For now, yeah.
Okay. So, last question. Expansion's on the horizon.
Yes.
No one can ever articulate this as well as the CEO, who is sitting right here. So I feel we should take this opportunity. We've done the investor pitch. Let's do the pitch to people who potentially might want to come and work for you. If someone sees a role or is thinking about approaching you or is in one of these countries that you're moving into and wants to work for you, what's it like to work for Loyalty, and what would you say are the massive benefits of it right now?
I think the biggest benefit is if you want to get rid of the typical politics of working and contribute towards the real content of working, come to us. That's what our employees love us for. We give them flexibility of working. They can work from wherever they want to. Equally, they have access
So you're fully remote?
We are remote first.
Right.
Equally, we give them access to a massive network of ServCorp offices globally to go and work.
Yep.
If they ever want to work from a city office, they have access to.
Yep.
Right. We do not get into any bell curve. Right. We hire you for your talent. We respect that talent, and we try to unleash your potential and take it to we optimize that.
Yeah.
Give you an opportunity to optimize that. So there's no unnecessary fighting with each other or annual review happening with a bell curve happening. No, you brought some expertise to the table, bring it to life, and let's work together. And most importantly, our core values. One of our core values of the 5 values we have is respect. Yeah. For me, everything else, any performance, non-performance, learning from non-performance or failures, everything's acceptable. If you fail fast, shrug your shoulders, move on.
Yeah.
But what is not acceptable is lack of respect. So in this company, one thing which we swear by is respect for each other. Yeah. So that's I guess my pitch for people to come in. Flexible work environment where you're respected and your talent is respected.
Cool. And I'm interested. Actually got another question. I know that was the last question, but I'll throw another one in. With the remote first, have you seen, because I've seen it as a recruiter, and obviously that's across the border, but in your business, have you seen a swing back to people wanting to come back in more? Because we've certainly noticed that. And we're in the city right now. It's pumping, although it's raining. Yeah. But generally, it's pumping. Have you seen that sort of desire for people to want to be more working with each other and less at home? I think everyone's still doing some from home. Yeah. But have you seen a swing, or is it still very much really for you, people are still...
I think in our case, interestingly, most of them choose to work from home office.
Yeah, well, Atlassian has the same thing, right?
If I look at my serviced office engagement and booking rates, they're less than 10%.
Okay, wow.
Right? So which means we are still paying, that gives us an opportunity to negotiate better rates with them. But the reality is that's the engagement. But if they ever wanted to, there is a provision.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess they can organise between themselves to be in the office at the same time and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, look, firstly, what a journey. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
But congratulations on the growth. I mean, the growth to me is mind-blowing. I can see how where you worked in the corporate world you were almost designed for this role, right? If I look at all the players that I know are sitting behind there, you've worked for a lot of them, or you've worked for their competitors. So for you to go to these clients and create these sort of multifunction deals and the payment thing, it was almost a natural thing because you knew all the players involved. So that's amazing. Congratulations on getting into that degree. I mean, serendipity, if ever I've heard it, this role. And I'm really looking forward to, I hope the raise goes well. I'm sure it will. I mean, I can see just huge growth and huge more potential for this business. So again, you've made simple look simple, so well done.
Thank you very much. Sincerely appreciate that. Acknowledgement of what is going good is always helpful and motivating. And I certainly look forward to not only our ongoing conversation, but also engagement as we move along in this journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week.